Hi, it's Anthony Meisner.
And Mandy Pallone at Fairway Mortgage.
Well, we just wanted to bring you the top 3 tips for buyers, and it's the first of the month, so we have brand new, fresh data from January to give you all a bunch of really good news as buyers.
Good.
All right.
Excited.
Yeah, so exciting. Number 1, well, it's time to buy now, and more so than that, this is actually the time where you have the most time to shop of the entire year. You have 58 days until to go under contract. It's like the highest of the year. January is always an amazing time to shop. Well, let me move us out of the way and we can actually show you some data to support this, but hot off the presses. Right here, you can see that we're back at levels of like 2020, going into 2020 for the year. That was when the market was fairly slow. 58 days is remarkably high. I mean, not necessarily for a January. It's fairly consistent with some things. You can see, the 2019 numbers are in green. I'm going to reference those a lot over the next year because 2019 is kind of where we were pre-pandemic levels, right? And so we're kind of gauging where we are today based off of those numbers.
So we're looking at the little purple dot?
Yes.
Okay.
It's technically navy blue, I think, but it sure doesn't look that way.
Okay.
Purple's my favorite color. Let's go with purple.
Okay. Because it looks like, that's with the yellow line, 2020.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So as inventory rises and things start to slow down, you're going to see that more normalized market feel. So really don't be surprised this year by May or June when it's going to be the fastest if we're not in that like 20 to 30 day range, which is drastically different than 8.5 or 9 days like we were last year.
Yeah.
All right. So what does this mean for buyers? Like, what have they been experiencing? You've been working with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's real different than December, right?
It is. Yeah. We're starting to see a little bit more competition. I think the average days is probably going to start shrinking because now we're going to see buyers coming on the market. We've gotten a lot of new applications in, so that's good. Like I said, we've had some competition. I lost a few deals or lost a few offers. Whereas like last month, we basically got every house that our clients wanted. So I think this will probably be the peak and it'll obviously start to go down. And you can see that very clearly in the graphs going forward or in every year,
every year, really.
2019 all the way through 2022.
Okay, so let's get on to number 2. Number 2, there's lots of new inventory coming on the market. New listings rose 87.6% from last month. Last month is definitely the valley. You can see it here. Let's move us out of the way again so you can get a good view of this. New listings were the lowest I'd really ever seen them in my career last month in December, 137. We're up 87.6% to 257, only 15% below where we were a year ago. I've been predicting that the market's going to slow down by about 20 to 35% a month, kind of depending on the month for the first 4 or 5 months. Keep in mind, interest rates were 3% at this time last year, right? So buyers are just a very different buyer pool. You have to be real motivated. But the fact that, the sellers are having some confidence to come to market right now, and we're right in line with 2019 says a lot. I mean, this is a really good sign.
Yep. It's crazy to see that, all the stress that our agents have been experiencing and we've been experiencing. It's crazy to see it in that November and December for the past 5 years. Like
everyone still feels stressed.
We keep feeling stressed, but we do this every year.
We do.
And every year, if you're in the industry, every year you're like, is this the year that it's going to be over? That the bottom's going to fall out? Is this the year that we're going to go out of business?
Right.
Do you ever feel like that? You're like,
I felt like this year.
But it is.
Yeah.
It's good to see it in a graph where you're like, no.
Well, I think it's really important
year.
to understand, we do have a swing of almost 2.5 times between our lowest months and our biggest months. We just haven't dealt with that seasonality in a long time. I mean, look at 2019. 2019 was like a plateau because they started to drop interest rates in 2019 because they were starting to feel some of that pressure, even pre-pandemic, where, we could be entering a softer market, right? We've been on a decade of growth and we finally were realizing that. So as things start to soften, I mean, we really could feel some of that constriction, but this looks really good for Boulder County, and this looks really good for our folks anywhere really here on the Front Range. It's a lot more resilient than what we've been looking at in the national market. So
It's good.
kudos, right?
Yeah, and
we're very fortunate where we're
yeah,
at.
and it's good to see this again in a graph when we're kind of slow. We're planning our years.
Right.
I remember when I first got into the business. I've been in since 2002, but I remember when I first started originating and getting more volume in like 2011 and 12 and 13. I was still taking summer vacations, and it's like, look at that graph. Let's not take any summer
There's
vacations.
a reason we all should take off during December and January, right? Because it's about the only time you're going to get a break. Because I mean, realistically, the peak of inventory comes March through October.
Yeah.
So we all get to work from March through October a lot.
So hopefully, when you're doing your year planning, plan for next, winter to
fall vacations, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, number 3 for all of you buyers out there, you can absolutely get a deal right now. 97.5% listed sale price, which is still remarkably low. It's
it went up
probably
though, right?
It did go up just a little bit, right? So here's the chart on it. We went up from 97.1 to 97.5. So you're starting to feel some of that contentious stuff or come back into the market, right? I heard some stories about actual bidding wars that took place in certain price points, like 1.7 million in Boulder or, 900,000 in a place that just didn't have any other inventory like that. So there are definitely pockets where it's going to be really, really important to know what you're doing. But a lot of times I'm hearing, we get 10 showings, we're getting 1 offer, or we're getting 8 showings. We got 2 people that are interested. And so you're not really in an ultra competitive situation. You can really start to negotiate some. And, you were telling me about the 2-1 buy.
Yeah. So as this shrinks, we went from almost 3% wiggle room, and now we're at 2.5% wiggle room. As this shrinks, we're not going to be able to negotiate those 2-1 and 3-2-1 buy downs in. And I haven't been able to negotiate them for a couple, maybe my past 6 offers. So you just have to pay attention. And if we can get them, great, because they're a phenomenal program and I'm going to, tout them forever. And we got a lot of clients in them. But we're not going to be able to negotiate seller concessions as great as we were before.
I mean, I think that says a lot about the fall. If you look at the blue line for October, November, and December, that's when we really saw the most of those, right? But the thing was, that also didn't include those in this data, right? I mean, we're talking, if somebody's going to give you a $10,000 concession at the closing table, that doesn't come off of the purchase price, right? So this is truly just active price to closed price. So that being said, we knew this was going to come in January, February. A lot of that negotiation and that benefit that you had, buying during a time where interest rates were out of control and they were just really high and there's a lot of uncertainty, that has changed, right? January has been really, really vividly clear to me how much that difference between December and that January, February market's going to be. So I think February we could be off to the races, but it's nothing like what we've experienced for the last couple of years. Expect a 2019, 2020 kind of trajectory where maybe we peak at 100% around May, maybe even a little bit less than that. There's just not as many people out there shopping, right? So,
and I love this graph because it shows the chaos that we experienced in first quarter of 2022. We see that big blue line going all the way up to, what does it say?
This is 108%.
I
mean, that's when you had $100,000 over asking on a lot of houses, right? It's just out of control.
It was. And it shows that was an anomaly and it was out of character because we've got the green line and the orange line showing like this is a normal market. And then the red line is 2021. That's when things were a little bonkers, but
that's when we all needed a second office. Because we were all stuck together at home.
Yes. And so I think that this shows like kind of the whiplash we've had in the market, from going from 100,000 over. And I had a lot of clients willing to pay that.
For sure.
And the rates were low and, I mean,
I bought a house in that frenzy as well. And it was worth it when we did it in 2021 because we needed it. And here we are in a really different environment and it's time to just ride it out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't make a bad choice if you were a buyer back then. You just need to know that patience solves all problems in real estate in so many ways.
Yeah.
And especially because you're locked in at a 3% interest rate probably, right?
Yeah.
So that definitely helps.
Yep. So, market update, nothing has really happened drastically in the past week and 2 weeks. We got the Feds came out with a rate hike today, so you'll see some news about that, but we were expecting it. It's already basically built in the pricing. So nothing too exciting happening. We're not going to get any good news probably until we get next month's inflation report, which will probably be, well, this month's, I guess, because now it's the first. It'll probably be around the first and second week of February,
Great. Well,
around the 10th.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so hopefully good news is on the horizon. I mean, everybody kind of expects it with that difference of a quarter point in the rate
Mhm.
hikes. I think that's a really strong sign that markets are expecting change, the economists
Yeah.
are expecting change. This is all good news, right? Even though they're still going up, that doesn't necessarily mean bad things,
Right.
And it doesn't mean interest rates are going up.
Yep. And rates are around 5.99 to 6.25 national average. So we're getting better, and we'll hopefully steadily continue to get better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, join us next week for our seller tips for the month. Hopefully we'll see you there. And we actually do have a really cool surprise. We're going to talk about the luxury market on our week 4 when we have, well, not our normal topics, right?
Yep,
But
exactly.
we're going to give you a really cool update for the city of Boulder, high-end luxury, and just what to expect in a year like this as we've gone through such a frenzy. So all kinds of fun stuff coming. Stay tuned. We'll see you every week here at 2:00 on Wednesdays.
Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.